So I'm looking at this post from My Hero Power Scaling by Vibes Vex, and the post states that we all know Deku is winning this, right? And in the post, we have a basically, I don't know if this is a free for all or just a comparison via individuals, but we have Gone with every non ability, Itadori Yuji with every curse technique and domain expansion. I honestly think that's a bit unfair. And then Deku with every quirk, and Tanjiro with sun breathing plus every demon ability. So I'm gonna break down Tanjiro first, okay? Because Tanjiro has a impressive performance in this post. One, sun breathing is excellent. It's great swordsmanship, okay? Which means he can use all 13 forms, and I'm guessing this implies that he's had a bit more, how do I say, compatibility with sun breathing. I don't understand why the poster decided to include sun breathing in his ability list, since that's something the character inherently has. It's not adding anything to him. You're basically just giving him demon abilities. You don't need to add that there's sun breathing in it. So let's take a look at the demon abilities that he acquires from this. Okay, he acquires Muzan's demon ability, which means that technically he would be able to turn people into demons. That's not going to help him here. He can morph his body, so he's probably going to have the same situation as Muzan, like having multiple organs. Um, I think we can give him regeneration as well, since it is a demon ability. And we can even make it so that you have to cut off his head with a Nichiren sword, or expose him to sunlight. Okay, so you're basically giving us DKT Tanjiro, but with more demon abilities, which is very terrifying to think about in his verse in particular. So let's look at some of the other abilities he would gain from this. Another ability he would gain is from Upper One Kokushibo, which means he can use those kinds of moon projectiles in his breathing style. I'm not sure how that would work. I'm pretty sure that Kokushibo uses his moon breathing and then uses his BDA in tandem, but it could be that Kokushibo just uses them both at the same time, and he doesn't need to use his moon breathing to use those attacks. I'm not sure about that. Okay, it's been a while since I read the Demon Slayer manga. So considering this, I'm gonna leave that out of the discussion to an extent. It is still an like powerful demon art, okay, but it doesn't really have much application apart from pure power. Then we go to upper two Doma, which is basically ice abilities. Now, Doma's ice abilities are quite impressive, not only from the fact that he had some extremely impressive feats in the both the anime and the manga, but there was also the fact that the ice flakes are extremely problematic for when you are breathing air. Basically, they get in your lungs and they cause you damage. Okay, it's going to be not honestly. That's not the best thing you get from his blood demon art. His best thing you get from his blood demon art is the actual icicle attacks, because it gives you a bit of variety in your abilities. Then we go to upper three Akaza with his compass technique. It basically is an adaptation type technique where he adapts to his enemy's fighting capability, and he's also able to sense their sorry, how do I say it, their fighting spirit. Okay, it's good because this boosts Tanjiro's perception to an extent. Okay, then we move on to upper four, which I believe is Hantengu. Hantengu's ability is to split his emotions and make clones. Extremely impressive, honestly. That's a really good technique. If if Hantengu had been given more attention, I'm sure that he would have risen up the ranks a bit higher than he was before. there was some real potential for him to like match Akaza if he was actually given some attention from Muzan. That's some mismanagement right there. So Hantengu is important in this conversation. Then we move on to Upper Five. I don't actually remember his name. I just remember him getting mid diff by Muichu. He had a technique. I believe it was an insta kill technique, where due to his fish scales, it's honestly very dangerous. Okay, which does give Tanjiro a bit of an edge in this battle because he has a one-shot kill technique. I will get to other characters that also technically have one-shot kill techniques in this post, but this is the first one we'll see. Okay, so we've got that. Then we move on to upper six, which is Daki and Gyutaro, where Daki uses her what do you call it? The ribbons on her dress, her obi, to fight. It does give him a bit more range, but not that much of a range. She can also turn into her obi to an extent, which basically gives him a bit better endurance. He can take attacks with much less problems. Alright, so that's much better for Tanjiro. And then we have Gyutaro, who uses, I believe, blood and poison. I'm not sure about the poison part. I'm pretty sure mostly it's blood. Um, that is interesting technique, but it doesn't really offer that much, honestly. We also got characters like Rui with his webs, but honestly, anything below the upper rank 6 of the Demon Slayer verse for demons, their abilities aren't all that impressive and won't be helping him much in this. Alright? So we've got Tanjiro down. He's got some great abilities. So let's match him up against Gon. And I'll break down Gon right now. So Gon is going to have some pretty impressive abilities, okay? Forgive me, but I haven't actually power scaled much with Hunter x Hunter before in my head even. And it has been a while, much longer than Demon Slayer that I've read the manga. I don't have a perfect understanding either, okay? So with Gon, so the net abilities he's gonna have bungee gum, obviously, and bungee gum has been shown to be able to bring people back from the dead via Hisoka. Sorry, that was a manga spoiler. Also, it's a very versatile technique. The only issue is that it's not suited to Gon as a person. Gon is tactical, but not on the same level as people like Hisoka. He can't use that technique as effectively as Hisoka could. Then we look at other net abilities, like Merum's ability to eat and I think it was eat and absorb people's nen. It's not really gonna help him here because none of these other characters use nen. They use their own abilities, so it doesn't help him. And it's and just to make it clear, I will be stating the same for Itadori having copy from Yuda Okotsu, since that's also a curse technique. It will not be helping him either, because none of them use curse techniques. It's completely useless. So Merum's technique is useless in this regard. Then we have characters like Poof that can split themselves up into very different, many different copies. It's useful. Um, that is a very useful technique. Then we have Pito, who can use a puppeteering type technique and can heal. It's very important to notice that pretty much all these characters can heal to a certain extent. And Pito can even make it so that Pito's ability will also make it so that Gon can continue fighting even after he dies because of the dead puppeteer technique. Then we have characters like Kurapika. Uh, Kurapika's techniques will certainly, I think, be a little bit useful, but his techniques are very geared towards fighting the spiders, the Phantom Troop. And none of these other characters are obviously part of the Phantom Troop, so they won't be nearly as effective. Then we have I guess, Gon's own technique, which is Junken, but that's very basic and it's mostly just power based. So there's not a lot to talk about in that regard. Um, we have Netero's technique. That's going to be very helpful, but we have seen it get completely destroyed when faced against an opponent that's just far physically superior. So that has to be taken into account. Um, Honestly, I would see with the Demon Slayer scaling, I could definitely see either of these people winning this. It really depends. Because, okay, there is one stipulation that needs to be made whether Tanjiro also gains the weakness of demons in regards to sunlight. But it feels kind of unfair if he doesn't have that weakness, so I'm going to say that he does. So, in that regard, the only. Okay, I have to admit that I'm struggling a bit with this. It's, I would honestly say that Tanjiro wins this. He can duplicate himself via his emotions, and Yoruichi is really fast, but. Mm, mm, yeah, the main issue with this entire versus is that Tanjiro does physically outscale Gon to an extent. Like, Tanjiro is faster, okay? Tanjiro is a faster character than Gon. Gon is definitely physically stronger, but Tanjiro is much faster. He has hacks and abilities that are really hard to deal with, including duplicating himself, using ice that causes respiration problems, and body morphing. And Gon just doesn't have what it takes to deal with this. Other characters in his verse could definitely deal with this issue. If you gave Meruem every Nen ability, he would probably dominate most of this list. I'm not going to get into it because I'm focusing on the post, but there could be a lot of potential for Meruem winning if he had every Nen ability, because his stat spread is incredible. I'm not going to involve Adult Gon through his I don't even remember what it was called, but it's the equivalent of a binding vow, Nen vow. I'm not going to include him because he has like one feat, and that's just killing Pito. You really can't scale him. It's not really possible to scale him accurately, and even if you did, it's not very impressive. The only way you can really scale Adult Gon is to basically say he was stated to be dangerous to Meruem and just go off of that. But as I said, I have not scaled Hunter x Hunter very much, and I really don't believe that Adult Gon is anywhere near these other characters in this post in particular. So Tanjiro is definitely winning that. So let's put that aside for now and go to Deku. Now, Deku's abilities for this one would be One for All, in which he has all of those other quirks that he gets from the vestiges. And then he also has other techniques like Overclock, Overhaul, and what was it? New Order. He even has Decay. Honestly, just having Decay would mean that he would probably wipe the floor with both Gon and Tanjiro at the same time. It's just, no, it's just problematic. All that he has to do is touch the ground and those two die instantly. It doesn't matter how good their regeneration is. Like, Tanjiro is not going to be nearly good enough to do shit. This man is getting decayed and then he's going to disappear from existence. He's going to get erased. Gon, his healing is nowhere near as good in this regard compared to Tanjiro's. And in addition to that, the dead body puppeteering is not going to do him any good in this because his body is disintegrated and there is nothing to fight with. Deku is washing these two easily. So I understand why the post feels so confident about this. He is washing two of the people in this post. Okay? New Order also out hacks both of these two peeps. It's not even close. Okay? Um, the only thing is that also I have to state that all for one quirk is not going to do him any good in this regard because all for one quirk only works on quirks, so it doesn't work. Same thing with Gon and Krollo's copy skill hunter ability. That's not going to do shit. So that ability doesn't do anything for him in this regard. Um, what else can Deku do? His gear shift is going to be very important in this matchup. It'll show him he has gear shift and overclock, which is an insane combo. Gear shift increases his speed, and overclock also does that with a fixed time limit. So he's speed blitzing both of these MFs. Easy dub. Okay? Now let's move on to Itadori, and he's literally the only character that can beat Deku in this post. Every CT and domain expansion means that he has infinity, which means that Deku, he can't hurt this man. The only thing you could even argue about Deku being able to hurt Itadori when it comes to Itadori with Infinity is New Order. New Order is literally the only quirk that would even let him touch Itadori. And there is some. I could probably speculate that New Order wouldn't be enough to do this. Because New Order has been shown to have limitations. When Stars and Stripes fought Shigaraki, she couldn't just outright kill Shigaraki. She had to set a rule to limit him. It's not an it's not an omnipotent ability. It has limitations. The same thing when Shigaraki stole her quirk. She could have said, if Shigaraki steals my quirk, he dies. But she didn't, because she can't do that. She instead said that Stars and Stripes, her ability, New Order, would fight against all the other quirks in Shigaraki's body, which forced Shigaraki to abandon the ability. So, unfortunately, New Order is not getting past Infinity. And even if it could, Itadori, with every CT and domain, has so many other abilities. He has the 10 Shadows technique, and he's definitely taming Maharaka. He has the physical stats, and is with Infinity, he should be able to use purple because he knows reverse curse technique and normal curse technique. So he will be able to use blue and red. So he should also be able to use purple. He's extinguishing Maharaga in one hit, taming him, and then making him his own. And a Maharaga is like, that's crazy work, having Maharaga to fight with you. Maharaga is going to adapt to every single quirk that Deku has. Then we have the argument that decay beats infinity. It does not. It does not beat infinity. It it doesn't. It just doesn't. Okay. It does not beat infinity because infinity is also used around Gojo's feet, so we can assume that Itadori will also be able to do this. One limitation of infinity in regards to this version with Itadori using it is that he's not nearly as proficient with it as Satoru Gojo. He will not be able to use it permanently because he has not automated anything, which means that he has to consciously use it for the entire matchup. But the problem is that he doesn't need to use it for a long time. He just needs to tank a few hits and use the world cutting slash, and he can kill Deku. It's that simple. And you might be saying, oh, Deku outspeeds Itadori, but I think you've forgotten JJK Modulo. In JJK Modulo, there is a Simurian. Spoilers, skip 10 seconds if, you know, no, not even 10 seconds. You know what? If you don't want spoilers, just stop watching. In JJK Modulo Chapter 19, the Sumerian Dabura, he's basically an alien with Jujutsu sorcery, uses his curse technique to practically travel almost at the speed of light, meaning that the JJK verse does have almost light tier characters. This means that no, Deku is not outspeeding Itadori. Not a chance. It's not happening at all. I would mention Chaos and Harmony from Modulo as well, but I just don't understand the curse technique well enough to talk about it. If we just take all of this into consideration, in truth, all that Itadori really needs to do is tank one or two attacks, because Deku is mostly a close range fighter like him. He's not going to fight from a long range. Tank a few attacks with Infinity, and then literally just open up a domain, use Infinite Void. All that information is going to get hit into Deku's brain. He's going to become brain dead, and then I don't know. Itadori can just use him as a punching bag. He can just say, "Let me try a new combo real quick," and uses Deku as a punching bag while he's brain dead. And he doesn't even need to do this technically. He can he can just use idle transfiguration and literally turn Deku from Deku into a mouse or some shit that doesn't have access to quirks. No, it doesn't stand a chance. It's crazy to think, okay, how busted this version of Itadori would be. And honestly, I think it's unfair. Giving him every curse technique and domain is unfair for this post. If you gave him every curse technique, then Deku could probably win. There is a higher possibility of Deku winning. Not because I think he would win, I still think he would lose, but it just would be more possible for Deku to win in that regard. Because he wouldn't have the domain insta kills like Infinite Void or Idle Transfiguration's domain. He wouldn't have those insta kill options to deal with Deku instantly. Idle Transfiguration's domain is an insta kill. As soon as you touch anything in the domain, your soul is up for bargain. Infinite Void is similar, where your mind gets flooded with information as soon as you're in it, and then you just go brain dead. These techniques are absolutely busted, and the only reason that they work in a story with how busted they are is because only one character has one of these techniques. And assuming nothing else works, you could even say that Itadori could just use Comedian. Frankly, I don't think he would, because Comedian is a technique for comedians. And with the way that Yuji is in Modulo, he doesn't seem much like the joking type. A technique that I do think he could use would be Star Rage from Yuki Tsukimo. That technique can reach planetary level. The only issue is that you probably die as well when you use it. So there really isn't any way for Deku to win against Yuji Itadori in this form. And the other two people on this post, despite how hacked they are in their own verse with these techniques, are fodder compared to these two. So, in an individual circumstance, Yuji beats every single one of them. Yes, Tanjiro, he beats him because he can target the soul. Doesn't matter that he has demon regeneration. If it hits his soul, then he's gonna die. And yeah, no. Individual battles, Yuji wins. Free for all, Yuji wins. These three could team up on him and he would still win. Sorry, guys, but no, Deku does not win this. He does not win this. He's second place and he puts up a good effort, but he doesn't win. Sorry if that bothers you guys.